Good morning. It's Tuesday. I'm working. And that's about it right now. When I got these glasses, I decided not to get the anti-reflect glare thingy because I'm like, who the fuck cares? But now that I do all these videos, I'm like, I kind of care. Anyway, because when people are wearing glasses in videos, most of the time I think they don't have lenses in them because you can't see the glare from a screen. And obviously you can see the glare from the screen in my thing here. But then I would be obsessing about my eyeballs. Or eyeball, really. And like, oh no. Anyway, I don't know. Eyeballs. Some stuff. I'm going to work on my Privacy Act tree. So I'll see you at lunch.
While doing some digging, I found another horrible chapter in Black history that, until recently, wasn't even widely taught in the curriculum of the state that it took place in. It's amazingly disheartening just how many stories like this there are. This is the story of the Ocoee Election Day Massacre. The 15th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified on February 3, 1870. It gave African American men the right to vote. By Election Day 1920, it had been legal for almost 50 years. But many black citizens still didn't exercise their right to vote out of the very valid fear of retribution. Those fears came true in Ocoee, Florida on November 2, 1920. When the sun set that day, it became the most violent day in American election history. Ocoee at the time was the home to some 255 African-American residents and 560 white residents, according to the 1920 census. On November 1st, Ku Klux Klan members marched in robes, carrying crosses, and threatening violence if any black men attempted to vote in Ocoee. Poll workers challenged whether African-American voters were really even registered. The voters had to prove they were registered by appearing before the notary public, R.C. Bigelow, who was regularly sent on fishing trips so that he was impossible to find. But African-American Mose Norman, who was a prominent landowner, chose to exercise his democratic right anyway. When Norman approached the polls, a crowd was at the entrance to threaten and stop any blacks from casting votes. Determined to cast his vote, Norman left. Norman contacted Judge John Chaney, who informed Norman that interference with voting was illegal and told him to write the names of the African Americans who were denied their constitutional right, as well as the names of the whites who were violating them. Norman then returned to the polls with a group of black citizens demanding to vote, but they again were turned away. A fight started. Norman had a shotgun with him when he returned, and it is not clear whether Norman's shotgun was stolen from his car while attempting to vote or was physically taken from him. But whites at the polls drove off Norman using his own shotgun. Norman retreated to the home of his friend, civil rights activist Julius July Perry, leaving the white mob enraged. The armed white mob was on its way to Norman's home when someone informed them that their target had been seen at the home of July Perry. The mob, then numbering about 100 men, arrived at Perry's house, demanding that Perry and Norman surrender. They questioned Perry and a gunfight ensued. Perry, who had been warned about the mob, fired gunshots from inside the home in self-defense. Exactly how many people were defending the house is unclear. The whites estimated that there were several armed African Americans. Sam Salisbury, the former police chief from Orlando, knocked on the back door, and it was opened, and he was shot in the arm, becoming the first white casualty. Two other whites, Elmer McDaniels and Leo Borgard, were killed when they also tried to enter through the back door. Their bodies were later found in the backyard. The white mob withdrew and put out calls for reinforcements to whites in Orlando, Apopka, and Orange County, either calling them by phone or sending for them by car. During the 2 to 3 hour lull while the whites were recruiting other men, July Perry, injured in the conflict, attempted to flee with the help of his wife into the cane patch. He was found by the white mob at dawn and arrested. After Perry was treated at a hospital for his wounds, he was taken by a white mob from the vehicle that he was being transferred to the jail in. They lynched him, and they left his body hanging from a telephone pole beside the highway. Norman was never found. Much of the trouble was attributed to outsiders from Winter Garden and Orlando. Sam Salisbury, that former police chief of Orlando, later proudly bragged about his part in the events. With the reinforcement of some 200 men, the white mob took the massacre to the rest of the African-American community in northern Ocoee. The white parliamentary forces surrounded the northern Ocoee black community and laid siege to it. They set fire to rows of African-American houses. Those inside were forced to flee, and many were shot. At least 20 buildings were burned in total, including every African-American church, schoolhouse, and lodge room in the vicinity. African American residents fought back in an evening-long gunfight, which lasted until at latest 4:45 a.m. Their firearms were later found in the ruins after the massacre ended. Eventually, black residents were driven into the nearby orange groves and swamps, forced to retreat until they were driven out of town. The fleeing sought refuge in the surrounding woods or in the neighboring towns of Winter Garden and Apopka, which had substantial populations of African Americans. The siege of Ocoee claimed numerous African American victims. Lang Maid, an African American carpenter, was beaten and castrated. Maggie Genlack and her pregnant daughter died while hiding in their home. Their bodies were found partially burned underneath it. Roosevelt Barton, an African American hiding in July Perry's barn, was shot after the mob set fire to the barn and forced him to flee. Hattie Smith was visiting her pregnant sister-in-law in Ocoee when her sister-in-law's home was set on fire. Smith fled, but her sister-in-law's family was killed when they hid and waited for help that never came. The African American residents of southern Ocoee, while not direct victims of the massacre, were later threatened into leaving. Annie Hammeter, an African American woman residing in southern Ocoee, believed that the massacre was planned so that the whites could seize the property of prosperous African Americans for nothing. According to Hammeter, people in southern Ocoee were coerced by the threat of being shot and burned out if they did not sell out and leave. About 500 African Americans in total were rapidly driven out of Ocoee, resulting in its population being nearly all white. That fall, white residents had to work to harvest the citrus crop because the black laborers had fled the region. No African American residents settled there again until 61 years later, in 1981. And it wasn't until 2020 that Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill that actually included the Ocoee Election Day Massacre in the Florida curriculum.
I'm outside and it's not freezing. Look, it's sunny. The melty snow is melting. My car needs a bath. But hey, look at this. Look at this lawn. The lawn's peeking. Steve's full of water. Who's Steve? Wagon. The wagon is Steve. Steve is the wagon. I'm just out here. Look at the sun. Just being out here with the birds. Oh, vitamin D. I did take my vitamin D pill today. But it's just not the same with the sun. Anyways, do you see this tire? You see how it kind of looks flat? Like it's bulbing out here. I don't know why. It's constantly like that. I fill it with the air, and then it gets flat again. Oh, there's garbage here. Get this garbage. Throw this. Oh my God. Throw this away. Right, so it's just, it's a gorgeous day out. Sunny. If I had off today, I'd be outside for sure. Well, I'd be driving. It's not that warm out. It's Alexa, what's the temperature right now?
Right now, it's 46 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's 46, so it's not like t-shirt weather or whatever, but wear like a good sweatshirt. Oh, I have an announcement. Our notification. Alexa, what's my notification?
One new notification from Amazon Shopping.
Nothing. Okay. Awesome. Thanks for nothing. Russ says that we might have all of our tax documents. And he's planning on doing the taxes. Not really sure why he has to do them all the time. Because he doesn't. I know how to do taxes. What's this? Oh, I know what that is. I know what that is too. Okay, bye. It's bedtime now. It's still a little early, but I'm going to bed because I can. I can do what I want. When you were younger and your mom or your dad or your parent, your guardian, whoever, was like, when you grow up, you can be anything you want to be. What a crock of shit. Because here's the thing. when you're younger, you put that in someone's head. You can be anything you want to be. It's not true. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a billionaire so freaking bad. That's a billionaire to him, but I'd like to have $1 million. That's it. Just one of the millions. You know, I'd like to, but then I think, what would I do with all that? And everybody who is not a millionaire or really wealthy person, they have these questions all the time. Because why? Because it's a fantasy. It's like, you know, you're just picturing what do you want to do? So everybody's like, if I had this, if money were no object, what would I do first? If I had $1 million, that would be the set. So the first thing I would do is pay off all of the debt. Pay off the house, pay off the cards, pay off all the debt. Then, with the leftovers, I'd split that in half, put half into savings or investments and stuff like that. The other half, I would split amongst family and closest friends. And then the rest of it's for me to spend on, well, me and Russ obviously is included, but rest for me to spend on whatever. I would probably, if I were still in this house, I'd remodel, or I'll just get a new house. Probably just a new house, because this house was built in 1948. It doesn't have an outside plug, like an outdoor outlet. It doesn't have an outside outlet or whatever. It could use some new ventilation. Could use some new insulation. It could use a lot of updates, especially the kitchen appliances. So I would just get a brand new house built from scratch. Any problems with the house would be because I caused them. It's like a brand new car. If you have a car fresh off the assembly line, 0 miles on it, then, hi kitty, 0 miles on it, right? Okay, let me get some treats. And then you buy that car fresh off the assembly line, 0 miles on it, and then you go and you drive it. You know, any damage to that car is caused by you. Okay? 2, 3, 4. I keep dropping the treats. Okay, there we go. All right, kitty. So yeah, that's what I would do with a house. But see, unlike a house where you could earn equity, car, you can't earn nothing. You ready for treats? Of course. Clear your nose out. I'd have a lot of pets. I'd have a dog or two, a few cats. I'd want a bunny. I'd want a hamster, maybe. I don't know, guinea pig, bunnies. How? They'd obviously have to have their own separate areas to be in. But there would be a big backyard where I could have built a shed or something, or whatever. Maybe I'd have a goat, and my goat would be my lawnmower. And the goat would be eating the weeds and stuff, and I wouldn't have to worry about mowing the lawn. I'd have I don't know, I'd have a lot of things. I would have things I wouldn't need. Many people, when they come across they have a lot of money. I find that when they get a lot of money, if they didn't have it before, buy a lot of things they don't need. I wouldn't buy too many things I wouldn't need, but some things I would. The main thing I would want to do is I would travel. I wouldn't buy anything. I would buy plane tickets. Pardon. I would travel because the United States, even though very big, I want to go outside of these 48. Outside of the US, the continental US. Outside, okay? I want to go outside of it. I don't want to be here all the time. I want to have the option to do that. And while money does not make you happy, yada yada, can't buy happiness because happiness is not for sale, it can make life easier, especially in the United States. So, on that note, I'm not really sure why I'm on this topic. I'm just going to go to bed now. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so I'm in the office. I will see you tomorrow. Toodles.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.